My name is Nora Whitaker. I am 36 years old, and for 8 years, I was married to a man who knew exactly how to smile in public and disappear in private. His name was Adrian Cole. To everyone outside our apartment, Adrian was the kind of man women were told to be grateful for. Tall, polished, careful with his words, always wearing those fitted shirts that looked expensive even when he claimed they were on sale. He worked as a sales manager for a luxury car dealership group in Pittsburgh, and he carried himself like every room was a showroom and every conversation was a negotiation. People saw him open doors for strangers. They saw him laugh with clients. They saw him post birthday messages for co-workers he barely liked. What they did not see was the way he could sit across from me at dinner and make silence feel like punishment. We lived in a small apartment in Squirrel Hill, on the second floor of an old brick building with narrow stairs and windows that rattled whenever the wind moved through the street. It was not fancy, but I used to love it. I loved the warm light in the kitchen. I loved the uneven floors. I loved the way the living room turned golden around 6 in the evening. For a long time I believed that if a home looked cared for, then maybe the love inside it could survive. That was my mistake. Because love does not stay because you dust the shelves. Love does not return because you cook the right meal. And a man who has already chosen to leave can sit at your table for months while secretly packing his future in another woman's name. The night everything changed was April 18th. Our anniversary. Adrian's birthday. The kind of date I used to circle on the calendar with a small red heart, back when I still believed he noticed things like that. I took half a day off from my job at Riverside Haven Rehabilitation Clinic, where I worked in the billing department. It was not glamorous work. Insurance claims, patient accounts, payment plans, calls from tired families trying to understand why healing cost so much. But I was good at it. I was patient, organized, and too good at staying calm when people were unreasonable. Maybe that was why my marriage lasted as long as it did. That afternoon, I stopped at a specialty market in Shadyside and bought everything Adrian liked. Rosemary lamb chops, garlic mashed potatoes, a bottle of Syrah from the little wine shop he always said was overpriced but secretly loved. I ordered a small caramel cake from a bakery near Walnut Street because he hated chocolate, and after 8 years, I still remembered every preference he had ever trained me to respect. I strung soft lights around the balcony. I ironed a cream tablecloth. I set out the good plates we almost never used. Then I put on a green dress. Adrian once told me green made me look calm. Looking back, maybe that was the problem. I looked calm even when I was breaking. By 7 o'clock, everything was ready. By 8, the lamb had cooled. By 9, the sauce had thickened into a sad little skin over the pan. By 9:30, I texted him. Dinner is ready. Are you close? No answer. 10, I called. Voicemail. At 10:42 p.m., my phone lit up with an email. Not a text. Not a call. An email. Subject line, work emergency. The message was short. Client situation. Can't leave. Don't wait up. We'll do something later. I stared at the screen until the words blurred. Don't wait up. As if I had not already waited. As if my waiting was a small inconvenience instead of a full evening dressed in green beside a dying table. There was no happy anniversary. No happy birthday. No thank you. No sorry. Just a cold sentence from a man who had once promised to grow old with me, and now could not even pretend to be late with kindness. I placed the phone beside his empty plate. For a moment, I imagined him walking in, laughing, apologizing, pulling me close, telling me the email had been rushed, that he had missed me, that he knew he had been distant, that things would change. Then the candle beside his plate went out. Just like that. A thin ribbon of smoke lifted into the air. And something inside me understood before I did. That night I cleaned everything without crying. I wrapped the lamb. I put the cake in the fridge. I poured the wine back into nothing because I had never opened it. Then I stood at the sink washing 2 plates that had never been touched, and I saw my reflection in the dark kitchen window. Green dress. Tired eyes. Mouth pressed shut. I looked like a woman waiting for permission to be angry. That was one of my flaws. I always waited too long. I waited for the right moment, the right proof, the right sentence, the right final insult. I believed patience made me mature, but sometimes patience is just fear wearing good manners. I went to bed in the dress. I did not sleep. Every sound in the hallway made me look toward the bedroom door. But Adrian did not come home. The next morning, I woke with a strange feeling in my stomach. Not sadness, not even fear, suspicion. It sat there quietly, heavy and patient. At work, I tried to focus on invoices, but my mind kept returning to the email. Work emergency. Client situation. Don't wait up. Around noon, I called the dealership. A receptionist answered. Monroe Premier Motors, this is Kayla. Hi Kayla. This is Nora Cole, Adrian's wife. Is he available? There was a pause. Not long, but long enough to change the temperature of the room. I'm sorry, she said carefully. Mr. Cole is no longer with the company. My fingers tightened around the phone. What? He resigned earlier this week. I sat very still. Earlier this week. Yes, ma'am. Monday. 4 days before our anniversary. 4 days before his birthday. 4 days before I cooked dinner for a man who had already resigned from the life I thought we were sharing. Did he leave a forwarding number? Yes. No, I'm sorry. I thanked her because my voice still knew how to behave, even when the rest of me was falling through the floor. For the rest of the day, every sound felt too sharp. The printer. Phone. My coworker laughing in the hallway. The ticking clock above my desk. At 5, I drove home with both hands gripping the steering wheel like I was holding myself together through the leather. When I opened the apartment door, the first thing I noticed was the smell. Adrian's cologne. Fresh. Strong. Then I noticed the missing shoes. His black leather Oxfords were gone from the rack. So were the gray sneakers he only wore when traveling. My heartbeat climbed into my throat. Adrian. No answer. I walked toward the bedroom. The door was open. He was standing beside the bed, folding shirts into a suitcase. Not rushing. Not panicking. Folding. As if this had been scheduled. As if I had merely arrived early to witness a plan I was never part of. What are you doing? Asked. He looked up. His face had no surprise in it. That hurt more than anything. You're home. Where are you going? Charlotte. The word landed between us like a cold coin. Charlotte. I accepted a new position. I stared at him. You quit your job. Yes. You accepted a job in North Carolina. Yes. And you didn't tell me. I'm telling you now. I almost laughed. But nothing about his face allowed laughter. You're packing a suitcase, Adrian. I don't want to make this harder than it needs to be. That sentence did something to me. Because people always say that when they are about to hurt you and want credit for sounding calm. He reached into his briefcase and pulled out a folder. Dark blue. Clean. Professional. He placed it on the bed and opened it. Divorce papers. I looked down at my name. Nora Elise Cole. Looked strange there. Like my identity had been printed without asking me. What is this? I whispered. Adrian sighed. Our marriage has been over for a long time. I looked at him. No. You've been acting like it was over. That is not the same thing. His jaw tightened. This is exactly why I didn't want a long conversation. Because conversations involve truth. Because you become emotional. I stepped back as if he had slapped me. Emotional. Yes, Nora. Emotional. Defensive. Exhausting. The words came smoothly. Too smoothly. That was when I realized he had rehearsed. He had prepared this version of me. The unstable wife. The difficult wife. The woman who forced him to leave because she could not be reasonable. You don't take care of the home the way you used to, he said. And blinked. What? You work late. You forget things. You're always tired. You don't make the apartment feel peaceful anymore. The apartment. The one I cleaned. The one where I paid half the rent. The one where I cooked meals he ignored because he had already eaten. I looked at the suitcase. then at the divorce papers, then at him. You missed our anniversary last night. He said nothing. I cooked your favorite meal. Still nothing. I bought your cake. His expression barely changed. Nora, one dinner doesn't fix years of neglect. I stared at him stunned. Years of neglect. There it was. The knife, polished and handed back to me as if I had stabbed myself. You think I neglected you? I think you stopped being the kind of wife I need. Something hot rose in my chest. For once, I did not swallow it. No, I said quietly. I stopped being convenient. His eyes narrowed. Don't twist this. I cooked. You came home late. Asked questions. You called it nagging. Cleaned. You complained I moved your things. I worked. You said I cared more about my job than you. I waited. You called me needy. I stopped asking. You called me cold. For the first time, Adrian looked uncomfortable. Not guilty. Just irritated that I was not following the script. He zipped the suitcase. I'm leaving tonight. With who? His face changed so quickly that if I had blinked, I would have missed it. But I did not blink. With who, Adrian? No one you need to worry about. That answer was its own confession. He picked up the suitcase. I stepped aside. Not because I wanted him to go. Because I was finally done blocking exits for people who had already left. The door, he paused. I'll have my lawyer send the next steps. I asked one final question. After 8 years, do you feel nothing? He looked at me. And in that moment, the man I had loved vanished completely. I feel relieved. Then he left. The door closed softly behind him. No slam. No drama. Just the quiet click of a life being locked from the outside. For 3 days, I moved through the apartment like a ghost pretending to be a woman. I did not sign the papers. I did not call him. I did not tell my coworkers. I went to work, came home, stared at the folder, ate toast over the sink, and slept badly. On the 4th night, I received a call from the property manager. Mrs. Cole, we received notice from Mr. Cole that he will not be renewing the lease. He stated you would be vacating by the end of next month. Closed my eyes. Of course he had. He had not just left me. He had tried to erase my shelter on his way out. That night, I sat on the floor with every receipt I could find. Furniture, appliances, deposit transfers, utility payments, rent records. Almost everything had my name on it too. The sofa, the bookshelf, the kitchen table, the bed frame. The apartment had been built by both of us, but he had spoken to the world as if I were only a guest he had left behind. That was the night my sadness began turning into something sharper. Not revenge yet. Awareness. A woman cannot fight properly until she stops mistaking cruelty for confusion. That Saturday, a message appeared in an old group chat. Class reunion tonight. Blue Note Lounge. Don't disappear, people. I had forgotten about it. 20-year high school reunion. Downtown Pittsburgh. I almost ignored it. The idea of walking into a jazz lounge full of people asking about my husband felt unbearable. But then I looked at the divorce papers on the table. And I realized something. Adrian had already made me lonely. Staying home would only make me obedient. So I got dressed. Black blouse. Dark jeans. Gold earrings. No wedding ring. I stood in front of the mirror for a long moment. I looked tired. But not finished. The Blue Note Lounge was tucked between a closed tailor shop and a little restaurant that smelled like garlic and butter. Inside, the lights were low, the music was warm, and old classmates were shouting each other's names like everyone had returned from war. I stood near the entrance, ready to leave after 5 minutes. Then someone said, Nora Whitaker? Not Cole. Whitaker. My name before Adrian. Turned. A man stood near the bar with a soft smile. For a moment I could not place him. Then he laughed. Marcus Hale. No. The beard is doing heavy camouflage. Marcus. He had been quiet in school. Kind. Always carrying a sketchbook. The kind of boy people overlooked because he was not loud enough to demand attention. Now he looked steady. Not flashy. Not polished. Steady. He bought me ginger ale because I said I was driving, and we sat at a small table near the back where the music softened the silence between us. He told me he worked as a carpenter now, restoring old houses around the city. Old places have better bones, he said. Smiled. Even when they're damaged. Especially then. Damage tells you where the structure needs honesty. I looked down at my glass. That sentence almost undid me. When he asked about Adrian, I considered lying. Then I didn't. We're divorcing, I said. He left. Marcus did not make a sad face. He did not ask for gossip. He simply nodded and said, "Then I'm glad you came here as yourself." As myself. I had forgotten what that felt like. Driving home that night, Pittsburgh looked different through the windshield. The bridges glowed over the dark water. The streets curved like they knew secrets. For the first time in days, I did not feel like my life had ended. I felt like something had been exposed. The next morning Adrian called. I almost let it ring. Then I answered. "I told the property manager you'll be out by the end of next month," he said. No hello. No softness. Just command. "You had no right to do that without speaking to me. You're an adult. Figure it out." I sat at the kitchen table. The divorce papers were still there. The pen was beside them. Picked it up. "You know what, Adrian? I will." He went quiet. "I'll sign," I said. His silence changed. He had expected a fight. Begging. Breakdown. Something he could later describe to people as proof that leaving me had been necessary. Gave him nothing. "And don't call me again like I'm still responsible for making your life easier." Hung up. Then I signed. My hand did not shake. That was how I knew something had ended cleanly. 3 weeks later the divorce was final. And 2 days after that Adrian sent me an email. Subject line. Proof. I stared at it, already knowing it would be cruel. Some people cannot leave unless they turn around to see if you are bleeding. Inside was a photo of a marriage certificate. Groom. Adrian Miles Cole. Bride. Selena Voss Montgomery. Registered in Mecklenburg County, North Carolina. Date. 1 day after our divorce was finalized. 1 day. I had waited 8 years for loyalty. She had waited 1 day for a husband. Before I could close the email, my phone rang. "Adrian." I answered without speaking. "You saw it?" he asked. His voice had a brightness that made my skin crawl. "I saw it. I wanted you to hear it from me." "No. You wanted to watch me hear it." He laughed once. Still arrogant. Still convinced the world existed to reflect him back as victorious. "Selena is different, Nora. She understands what a man needs." Closed my laptop slowly. Good for her. She's elegant, feminine, peaceful. Sounds expensive. He ignored that. Her family owns Voss Meridian. Boutique wellness resorts, private retreats, high-end properties across the Carolinas. So that's the new job. I'm director of strategic partnerships now. Course he was. There it was. Title. The new wife. The rich family. The better life he wanted me to feel beneath. "And she's pregnant," he said. My throat tightened. "How far?" 3 months. 3 months. So while I was making anniversary dinner, he was preparing a nursery in another woman's future. I looked toward the balcony where the lights were still folded in a box. "You're proud of this." "I'm happy." "No, Adrian. Happy people don't call their ex-wives to prove they upgraded." His voice hardened. "You always had a way of making things ugly." "No. I just stopped polishing them for you." He hung up. For several minutes I sat in silence. Then I searched her name. Selena Voss Montgomery. Her profile appeared immediately. She was beautiful in a way that looked almost architectural. Perfect blonde waves. Smooth skin. Sharp jawline. Blue-gray eyes. A smile so clean it felt expensive. Her photos were full of white walls, linen dresses, resort balconies, charity dinners, and captions about grace, femininity, and divine timing. I scrolled. I should have stopped. But something about her face bothered me. Not because she was beautiful. Because she was familiar. On the 12th photo I froze. There was a small tilt in her smile. A tiny unevenness at the corner of her mouth. I knew that smile. Not from Instagram. From high school. Her name had not been Selena Voss then. It had been Selena Marsh. She was in my senior English class. Quiet. Watchful. Thin brown hair. Uneven teeth. Acne scars she tried to hide under makeup that never matched her skin. People were cruel to her. Not all people. But enough. I remembered once seeing her in the girls' bathroom, scrubbing at her face with paper towels until her cheeks turned red. I'd asked if she was okay. She had looked at me through the mirror and said, "One day, no one will remember this face." At the time I thought she meant she wanted to grow up. Now I realized she had meant it literally. I called Tessa Lane, my closest friend from school. She answered while chewing something. "Nora, please tell me this is gossip and not a crisis." "It might be both. Do you remember Selena Marsh?" The chewing stopped. "Oh wow. That name. Adrian married her." "What?" "She goes by Selena Voss Montgomery now." Tessa went silent. Then she exhaled. "That tracks. What do you know?" "She reinvented herself completely. Surgery's new name, rich stepfamily. Her mother married into the Voss side years ago, and Selena attached herself to that world like she was born in it." I stared at the photo. "She looks nothing like she did." "She made sure of that." "Was she always strategic?" Tessa finished. "Yes, quiet but strategic. She studied people, especially people with status." I looked at Adrian's wedding photo again. His smile was so wide, so proud, so blind. "He thinks he won," I said. Tessa laughed softly. "Oh, Nora. Men like Adrian don't win. They just upgrade the packaging of their problems." I should have felt satisfied. Instead I felt strangely calm. Because I had just learned something powerful. Adrian had not left me for love. He had left me for an image. A wealthy name. A polished woman. Family business. Fantasy with perfect lighting. And the funniest part was that Selena had also chosen an image. A man who looked successful. A husband who made the reinvention feel complete. Two edited people standing together, calling it destiny. Months passed. I moved out of Squirrel Hill and found a smaller apartment near Mount Washington, with a window that looked over the city. At night, the skyline glittered across the river like Pittsburgh was quietly reminding me that beauty did not have to ask permission. I kept my job but reduced my overtime. I started taking pottery classes on Saturdays. I saw Marcus sometimes. Coffee first, then walks, then dinner. He never pushed. That was new to me. Adrian had always made love feel like a performance review. Marcus made kindness feel ordinary. One evening, during pottery class, my bowl collapsed on the wheel. I cursed under my breath. Marcus laughed. "You're fighting the clay." "I'm trying to fix it. Sometimes you have to stop forcing the shape." I looked at him. "You always talk like this. Only when clay is humiliating someone I like." I laughed. Real laugh. The kind that begins in the chest, not the mouth. That was the first moment I realized Adrian was no longer the main character in my pain. Then, almost a year later, he called from an unknown number. I ignored it. Then came a text. "Nora, please. It's about the baby. I need to talk." I stared at the screen. Every healed part of me said delete it. Every curious part said answer. Curiosity won. Called back. Adrian picked up immediately. "Nora." He sounded ruined. Not humble. Ruined. "What do you want?" "Selena had the baby." Waited. "A girl. Congratulations." "She doesn't look like me." Closed my eyes. The truth had arrived. Breathing. Innocent. What does that mean? She doesn't look like Selena either. She's a newborn, Adrian. "No. You don't understand." His voice cracked in a way I had never heard before. "She has dark hair. Small eyes. A crooked little mouth. Her nose." He stopped. She looks like someone else. Did you do a DNA test? Silence. Then, yes. And she's mine. Then she looks like family. No, that's not. He stopped. You knew something. I leaned back in my chair. Knew what? When I told you I married Selena, you sounded strange. I recognized her. His breathing stopped. What? Selena Voss used to be Selena Marsh. The silence on the line was so deep it became a room. We went to school together, I said. No. Yes. She told me she had a rough, awkward phase. I almost smiled. Adrian, rough, awkward phase means bad bangs and braces. Selena rebuilt her entire face and changed the label on the bottle. He said nothing. Did you never wonder why she had no childhood photos around? She said she hated pictures. And you believed her because you hated yours too. What is that supposed to mean? Your old school photos, Adrian. I saw them when I cleaned the apartment. Thick glasses. Crooked teeth. You weren't always the polished man who judged everyone else for not shining. His voice turned cold. That was private. So was our marriage. You made that disposable. He breathed hard into the phone. My daughter looks like the old version of us. There it was. Not concern. Not love. Shame. She is not an old version of anything, I said. She is a child. You don't understand. No, Adrian. I understand perfectly. You changed your body. Selena changed her face. Both of you changed your names, your clothes, your circles, your stories. But neither of you changed your blood. He went silent. Then quietly he said, Selena won't hold her. My anger shifted. Not toward him. Toward the tragedy of it. What? She cries when she sees her. Her mother takes the baby most of the time. Selena says she's exhausted, but it's not that. She looks at her like proof, I said. He did not deny it. Closed my eyes. For a moment I imagined that baby girl. Teeny. Helpless. Already carrying the weight of two adults' self-hatred. Listen to me carefully, I said. That child did nothing wrong. I know. No, you don't. Because if you knew, you wouldn't be calling me like her face is a problem to solve. Nora. You once said I wasn't the wife you needed because I didn't make your life peaceful enough. Now you are standing inside the life you chose. And the truth is crying in a crib. His breath shook. What am I supposed to do? Be her father. I don't know how to deal with Selena. Then tell her the truth. That rejecting that baby means rejecting herself. And if both of you punish your daughter for resembling the people you used to be, then neither of you deserves the perfect life you tried to advertise. I didn't call for a lecture. No. You called because you wanted me to make you feel less guilty. He said nothing. And I won't. For once, I did not soften the ending. Do not call me again. I blocked the number. Then I sat there for a long time looking out at the city. I expected to feel revenge like fire. I didn't. Felt colder than that. Cleaner. Like a window opening in a room that had smelled stale for years. I had not exposed them. I had not chased them. I had not ruined their wedding or called their families or posted old photos online. I had simply survived long enough for the truth to arrive without my fingerprints on it. And that is the kind of revenge people underestimate. The revenge of not becoming dirty just because someone dragged you through mud. 2 years passed. My life became quiet. Beautifully quiet. I bought plants and learned which ones forgave neglect. I made lopsided mugs and sold a few online. I took long walks through the city when the air smelled like rain and pavement. Marcus stayed in my life, not as a rescuer, but as proof that peace could have a voice. One afternoon, I ran into Tessa near a bookstore on Carson Street. She hugged me, then gave me the look people give when they are holding information they know they should not enjoy sharing. What? Yes. She winced. You haven't heard about Adrian? Smiled. That sentence is never followed by good news. Selena filed for divorce. Felt no shock. Why? He cheated. Someone from the resort group. I looked away and laughed once. Not because it was funny. Because it was predictable. Some men do not change women. They change stages. Same performance. Different audience. What about their daughter? Yes. Tessa's expression softened. That part is sad. My smile faded. She started preschool. Apparently some parents found old photos of Selena online. Adults talk. Kids heard. You know how cruel that can get. My stomach tightened. They teased the little girl. Tessa nodded. Said her mom used to be ugly. Said she looked like the old pictures. For a moment I could not speak. I thought of Selena Marsh in the bathroom all those years ago, scrubbing her face raw and whispering that one day no one would remember it. But the past remembered. Not because it was cruel. Because it had never been healed. And now an innocent child was paying the debt. That poor baby, I whispered. Selena pulled her from the school. Good. Maybe. But from what I hear, she barely goes out anymore. Adrian is trying to keep his job, but the Voss family is furious. Course they were. Adrian had married a ladder and then acted surprised when it became a trap. That evening I walked home slowly. The city lights came on one by one. The river caught the last pieces of sunset. Somewhere, music played from an open apartment window. I stopped at a bakery and bought a small caramel cake. No message. No occasion. Just cake. When I got home, I placed it on my kitchen table, cut myself a slice, and ate it with coffee while looking out over Pittsburgh. For the first time I thought about that anniversary night without pain. The green dress. Cold lamb. The unanswered call. The email. The candles burning themselves out. Back then I thought I had been abandoned. Now I understood I had been released. Adrian wanted perfection. Selena wanted reinvention. They both believed the right image could erase the truth. But truth is patient. It waits in old photos. It waits in memory. It waits in the face of a child. It waits until the room is quiet. Then it speaks. And when it does, no amount of money, makeup, titles, surgery, or new last names can silence it. People ask what revenge really looks like. They think it is shouting, exposing, destroying, making the person who hurt you suffer in public. Sometimes yes, but sometimes revenge is simpler. It is signing the papers without begging. It is rebuilding in a smaller apartment with better air. It is laughing again without asking permission. It is seeing the person who discarded you get exactly what they chased, then realizing it was empty. It is understanding that the life they used to humiliate you was never a victory. It was a mirror. Adrian once told me I was not the wife he needed. He was right. I was not made to decorate a lie. And Selena. She once said no one would remember her old face. But life remembered. Not to punish her daughter. Not to mock her pain. But to prove something both she and Adrian forgot. You can change your name. You can change your city. You can change your face. You can change the story you tell strangers. But you cannot build peace on shame. And you cannot outrun yourself forever. As for me, I kept my own name. Nora Whitaker. The name I had before him. The name I returned to after him. The name that felt strange at first, then strong, then mine. That was my revenge. Not that Adrian fell. Not that Selena's perfect image cracked. Not even that the truth exposed them. My revenge was that I did not become like them. I did not need a new face. I did not need a rich name. I did not need someone else's regret to prove my worth. I only needed to stop waiting at a table for someone who had already left. And once I did, life finally pulled out the chair across from me and said, "Now get yourself a meal."